Today's lecture examines Memoirs of a Geisha, a historical fiction novel written by Arthur Golden and published in 1997. The novel offers a fictionalized yet immersive portrayal of the geisha world in Kyoto before, during, and after World War II. As a great book's text, this novel allows us to explore enduring human concerns, identity, sacrifice, desire, survival, and the tension between individual agency and rigid social systems within a culturally specific but universally resonant setting. Memoirs of a Geisha is narrated in the first person by Sayuri Nita, formerly Chiyo Sakamoto, a girl born into poverty in a Japanese fishing village. After being sold to an okiya, or geisha house in Kyoto, Chiyo undergoes an arduous transformation into one of the most celebrated geisha of her time. Arthur Golden drew heavily from interviews with Mineko Iwasaki, a former geisha, which lent authenticity to the novel's rituals, aesthetics, and social codes. However, this reliance also led to controversy, including a lawsuit concerning confidentiality, raising important ethical questions about cultural representation and authorship. The novel is set primarily in Kyoto's Gion district, beginning in the 1930s and extending into post-war Japan. This period is marked by strict gender hierarchies, economic instability, and the devastating impact of World War II. Geisha culture is portrayed not as prostitution, but as a highly codified profession involving artistic performance, social diplomacy, and economic negotiation. Understanding this context is crucial, as many Western interpretations flatten the geisha into stereotypes rather than recognizing her as a trained cultural practitioner. Chiyu Sakamoto is the central character and narrator of the novel. Sold at a young age, she initially experiences fear, loss, and humiliation. Over time, through discipline and mentorship, she reinvents herself as Sayuri Nita. Her unusual gray-blue eyes symbolize both her otherness and her desire. Sayuri's transformation illustrates the novel's central tension between selfhood and social expectation. She must suppress her personal desire to survive within a system that commodifies beauty and obedience. Mameha is a celebrated geisha who becomes Sayuri's mentor. She is intelligent, strategic, and emotionally perceptive. Unlike other figures in the novel, Mameha understands the power structures of the geisha world and teaches Sayuri how to navigate them rather than simply endure them. Mameha represents the importance of guidance, female solidarity, and calculated resistance within oppressive systems. Hatsumomo is the Okia's most beautiful and initially most successful geisha, but she is also Sayuri's primary antagonist. Her cruelty stems from insecurity and emotional instability. Hatsumomo embodies unchecked jealousy and self-destruction. Her eventual downfall serves as a moral counterpoint to Sayuri's restraint and adaptability, reinforcing the theme that survival in rigid systems requires discipline, not rebellion alone. Nobo is a scared but powerful businessman and a close associate of the chairman. Though physically intimidating, he is deeply loyal and principled. Nobo represents an alternative future for Sayuri, one based on security and gratitude, rather than romantic idealism. His presence complicates the novel's portrayal of love by contrasting emotional fulfillment with ethical responsibility. Mother, the head of the Okiya, is pragmatic and financially driven. While she often appears cold, her decisions are shaped by economic survival rather than personal malice. She symbolizes the institutional logic of the geisha world, where human relationships are subordinated to profit and reputation. Through Mother, the novel critiques systems that normalize exploitation under the guise of tradition. Here are the symbolic elements that were already explained in the previous slides. It integrates traditional Japanese elements, such as water, the geisha's kimono, the chairman's handkerchief, the cherry blossoms, the sashimen or traditional string instrument, the dana or patron, and the snow dance. Central themes. One of the novel's most prominent themes is identity as performance. Chiyo must abandon her past and learn to construct a new self acceptable to the geisha world. This raises an essential question. Is Sayuri's identity authentic or is it entirely shaped by social expectation? The novel suggests that identity is both imposed and negotiated. The novel constantly balances fate and agency. While Sayuri's life appears determined by circumstance, poverty, gender, historical forces, she also exercises limited but meaningful choices. Golden, the author, represents freedom not as absolute independence, but as strategic movement within constraint. Beauty and commodification. Beauty in the novel is both power and prison. Sayuri's physical attractiveness grants her opportunity, but it also subjects her to objectification. The geisha world commodifies elegance, turning art, charm, and even intimacy into economic transactions. Sacrifice and survival. Nearly every success in the novel is achieved through sacrifice of childhood, autonomy of love. Survival requires emotional restraint and endurance rather than open resistance. This theme invites readers to reflect on how marginalized individuals navigate oppressive systems across cultures and historical periods. Unattainable love. Sayuri's lifelong love for the chairman represents emotional fulfillment that remains largely inaccessible. The chairman symbolizes an ideal, kindness without possession, admiration without exploitation. His distance reinforces the novel's tragic dimension. Love exists, but it cannot fully flourish within the structures that govern Sayuri's life. Plot structure using Freytag's pyramid. The novel follows a classical plot structure. First is exposition. Chiyu's childhood are sailed into the Okiya. Rising action. Her training rivalry with Hatsumomo and mentorship under Mameha. Climax. World War II and the collapse of the geisha economy. Falling action. Sayuri's post-war reinvention. Resolution. Her emotional reconciliation with the chairman. This structure reinforces the novel's focus on transformation through adversity. The story is told through a first-person retrospective narrative. This perspective creates intimacy while also raising questions about memory, reliability, and self-fashioning. Sayuri's voice is reflective, selective, and shaped by hindsight, reminding us that memoir, even fictional memoir, is a constructed narrative. Cultural respect and representation. While widely praised, The novel has been criticized for Orientalism and for filtering Japanese culture through a Western lens. This tension makes Memoirs of a Geisha an especially valuable great book itself. It invites critical reading, not only of the story, but of how stories about other cultures are told, marketed, and consumed. To conclude, Memoirs of a Geisha is not merely a story about a geisha. It is a meditation on how individuals survive systems that limit their freedom. Sayuri's journey from Chiyo, a powerless child, to a woman who masters the rules imposed upon her, reveals that resilience often takes the form of adaptation rather than rebellion. The novel compels us to reflect on universal questions. Can How much of our identity is chosen and how much is imposed? Can beauty be a form of power without becoming a form of captivity? What does survival demand from those with limited agency? As a great book's text, Memoirs of a Geisha endures not because it offers easy answers, but because it confronts us with uncomfortable truths about culture, gender, desire, and the cost of belonging. Thank you for listening. Good day.